Courage is the ability to do something frightening! And there aren't a lot of things more frightening than leaving your home, going to a country where people may speak a different language, learning a whole new culture, and preaching the gospel. But this is what a foreign missionary does after God calls them to minister to a specific group of people. When we look at the life of any missionary, it's easy to identify where they have had to be courageous. And just like missionaries, we need to be courageous as well. Being a true follower of Jesus means that at some point, we will be put on uncomfortable situations, put into them, and face some type of difficulty or adversity. In John 16:33, Jesus tells us that in the world, we will experience trouble, but we don't need to be nervous when we face it. That's basically what he says. Because he immediately follows that statement by telling us, take heart or take courage, because he will have victory over the world, because he has. Someone who lived courageously for God was Daniel. And today we are going to learn a little bit more about that story. But come on now, we gotta go figure out what's up with Mr. Devante.
Boo! Did I scare you? No, because you probably have a lot of courage to be in places that would scare you, like YouTube or something. I'm allegedly Mr. Devante, and I gotta tell you what is going on. And that is that I will be courageous. What does it mean to be courageous? It means if I'm a spookity bookity and I'm like, and I'm like in a room or something, and you're like outside, and your mom is like, hey, go into that room, and then you're like, oh no, actually, I'm gonna have courage, and I'm gonna be strong, and I'm not scared of no oogity boogity in that room, so I go, and with courage, I'm going into the room, and then I go in there, and I realize, oh, it's just a reflection of myself. There was nothing to be scared about, because I had courage, and I figured out what was wrong, and there was nothing wrong, because it was me. All right, so the what's up is I will be courageous. I'll say it again, I will be courageous. Backwards, courageous be will I? And the answer is yes, I will. All right, girls, stand to your feet. I'll give you 3 seconds. You're gonna repeat it after me. 3, 2, 1. I will be courageous. Great job, ladies. Sit down, boys. Stand on up. I'll give you 3 seconds, and you're gonna repeat it after me as loudly as you can, please. 3, 2, 1. I will be courageous. Great job. Now everybody stand to your feet. Everybody. I'll give you 3 seconds. I will be courageous. Great job, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that when you are going into a room that has a lot of mirrors and you're afraid, but then you realize once you get in there that it's just yourself.
Power Verse! Woo! Awesome! Welcome to our Power Verse, and this is actually going to be our last time.
The last time.
Doing the verse. So sad. But, because it's going to be our last time, we need to give this our all,
Give it
okay?
100%.
So, to do that, we gotta be standing up. So stand up.
Stand up. On your feet.
Come on. Okay, awesome. Now, since we are all standing up, we are going to do it. Like I said, give it our all. But, I think we should have some fun with it.
You're right.
So
Let's
still
switch
give
it
it our all, but have some fun. And I'm thinking maybe, should we, whisper?
Yeah, whisper the voice. Whisper the voice.
But you have to still say it. You can't just, do like this.
Yeah.
You actually have to, noise has to be coming out of your mouth.
Yes.
But just not loud noise. Just, quiet. Okay? So I'm gonna say it, and then you're gonna repeat after me with Miss Monique. Let's whisper it. Okay, ready? Ready. Okay. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, Here I am. Send awesome.
Wow.
Okay, whoa, that was
the
so
most
good.
powerful whisper I ever heard.
It was. It was. Okay, well, now because we whispered, we are going to say it loud and
loud.
proud.
Yeah,
no
yeah.
screeching. I don't
Yes.
want to hear like the like
No.
no.
It's not about going up an octave, it's about projecting with your voice.
So we want you can even maybe go a little deeper, but we want loud and proud.
powerful.
Yes, and powerful. That's what we're looking for. Okay, ready? Same thing, same deal. You're following Miss Monique. Ready? When I hear the voice
When I hear the voice
of the Lord saying,
of the Lord saying,
"Whom shall I send?
whom shall I send?
And who will go for us?"
And who will go for us?
And I said,
And I said,
"Here I am.
here I am,
Send me."
send me.
Isaiah 6:8.
Isaiah 6:8. That was so good.
Okay,
That was so good.
so good.
Wow.
Great job, guys. And that was our power verse.
Let's open up by reading out of the Bible, Daniel chapter 6. It pleased Darius to appoint 120 stirrups to rule throughout the kingdom, 2 with 3 administrators over them, one whom was Daniel. The stirrups were made accountable to them so that the king might not suffer loss. Now Daniel so distinguished himself among the administrators and the stirrups by his exceptional qualities that the king planned to set him up over the whole kingdom. At this point, the administrators and the stirrups tried to find grounds for charges against Daniel in conduct of his government affairs, but they were unable to. They couldn't find any corruption in him because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent. Finally, the men said, "We will never find any basis for charges against this man Daniel unless it has something to do with the law of his God." So the administrators and the stirrups went with the group to the king and said, "May Darius the king live forever." The royal administrators, prefects, stirrups, advisors, and governors all have agreed that the king should issue a decree and enforce a decree that anyone who prays to any other god or human being during the next 30 days, except you, your majesty, shall be thrown into a den of lions.
Now we're going to be reading and starting from verse 8. Now, your majesty, issue the decree and put it in writing so that it cannot be altered, in accordance with the law of the Medes and the Persians, which cannot be repelled. So King Darius put the decree in writing. Now, after Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the window opened towards Jerusalem. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before. Then these men went as a group and found Daniel praying and asking God for help. So they went to the king and spoke to him about his royal decree. Did you not publish a decree that declared the next 30 days anyone who prays to any god or human being except to you, your majesty, would be thrown into the lion's den? The king answered, "The decree stands in accordance with the law of the Medes and the Persians, which cannot be repelled." When they said to the king, "Daniel, who is one of your exiles from Judah, who pays no attention to you, your majesty, or to the decree you put in writing, he will praise 3 times a day." When the king heard this, he was greatly distressed. He was determined to rescue Daniel and made every effort until sundown to save him.
Then the men, verse 15, it says, went as a group to King Darius and said to him, "Remember, your majesty, that according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, no decree or edict that the king issues can be changed." So the king gave the order, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the lion's den. The king said to Daniel, "May your God, whom you serve, continually rescue you." A stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and the rings of his nobles, so that Daniel's situation might not be changed. Then the king returned to his palace and spent the night without eating and without any entertainment being brought to him, and he could not sleep. Whew. At the first light of dawn, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. When he came near the den, he called to Daniel in an anguished voice, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God whom you serve continually been able to rescue you from the lions?" Daniel answered, "May the king live forever."
My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. Nor have I ever done any wrong before you, your majesty. The king was overjoyed and gave orders to lift Daniel out of the den. And when Daniel was lifted out of the den, no wound was found on him, because he had trusted in God. At the king's command, the men who had falsely accused Daniel were brought in and thrown into the lion's den, along with their wives and children. And before they reached the floor of the den, the lions overpowered them and crushed all their bones. Then King Darius wrote to all the nations and people of every language in all the earth. And it said, "May you prosper greatly. I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed. His dominion will never end. He rescues and he saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heaven and in all the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions." So Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus.
Stories of the Bible. Daniel in the lion's den. This is Daniel.
Oh, hey!
Who was a Jewish man who was taken to Babylon when he was very young.
Yeah.
Daniel loved God and followed God's rules. He talked to God 3 times a day and asked God for help often. Daniel served in the Babylonian king's court for many years.
Yeah, I know him.
And under many kings.
Hey, Daniel.
Daniel always proved himself to be more capable than all the other court officials.
Thanks. Well, anytime.
Daniel was serving under King Darius, and because of his great abilities, the king made plans to place him in charge of the entire empire.
Wow, okay.
The other court officials searched for some fault in Daniel, but they couldn't find anything wrong with him. He was faithful, responsible, and completely trustworthy.
Wait.
The court officials realized the only way to get at Daniel would be to challenge his faith.
Come on.
So they went to King Darius
Excuse me, Your Majesty.
and advised him to make a law that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone except King Darius will be thrown into the lion's den.
I like it.
King Darius signed this law, and once a Babylonian king signed a law, it could not be overruled. When Daniel learned of this law, he went home and knelt down, as he always did, to pray in his room with the windows open towards Jerusalem. He prayed 3 times a day, just as he always had done, giving thanks to God and asking for his help. The officials went to Daniel's house and found him praying.
Gotcha.
They went to the king and reminded him of the law.
I remember.
Well,
Then they said that Daniel had been found praying to God 3 times a day.
What?
When the king heard this, he was very upset,
Get over here.
and he spent the whole day trying to think of a way to save Daniel.
wait, what?
By that evening, the court officials came back to the king and reminded him that no law signed by the Babylonian king could be overruled. So at last, the king gave orders for Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den. The king said to him, "May your God, who you serve faithfully, rescue you." Then the lion's den was sealed shut with Daniel inside. The king spent the night fasting and couldn't sleep. Then very early in the morning, the king hurried to the lion's den. He called out,
Hey, Daniel.
"Was your God able to rescue you from the lions?" And Daniel answered, "Long live the king! My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they would not hurt me, for I have been found innocent in his sight." The king was overjoyed and ordered that Daniel be taken out of the lion's den. Then the king ordered the men who had schemed against Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den as punishment. Daniel was safe. There was not a scratch on him, for he trusted in God.
Daniel was a prophet who served God for many years. He rose to great prominence in the kingdom of Babylon as an advisor to King Nebuchadnezzar, and he continued to serve the kings of Persia when Babylon was defeated. King Darius trusted Daniel more than any other man in his court, and it was out of jealousy that Daniel's enemies wrote an unfair law that sent him to the lion's den. There was never a question of what Daniel would do. The question was, would God protect his servant? God showed that he is greater than any king and stronger than any beast. God shut the mouths of those lions and the mouths of Daniel's enemies. Daniel's adventures in the lion den proved to King Darius and to us that God is mighty to save those who believe in him.
The story of Daniel is a very timely one for us. We're living in a time when the world is not so friendly to those who believe in our God. There are people who would want us to shut our mouths about our faith. You'll find out as you grow older that some of your classmates will challenge you to go against what you believe and make some choices that go against God's word. True, no one is ever likely to threaten you with being tossed into a den of lions, but peer pressure can be a very, very difficult challenge to overcome. No one wants to feel like an outcast. That's almost worse than being fed to the lions. So in order to stand up to the peer pressure, we need to be courageous. When we are courageous and have faith, God will give us the strength to stand firm. When we're courageous, God uses our faith to make us witness to others. God will reveal himself to our friends just as he did to King Darius. When we have the courage to stand strong, we may give another friend that same courage. We can set an example in faith and in purity for others to follow.
Standing up for God seems scary at times. I am sure Daniel was quite terrified as he was led off to face the lions. But we can rest assured that if we are following God's lead, he will not leave us to face our fears alone. The King of Kings was stronger than the king of the beast and greater than the king of Persia. He stands with those who stand with him, and when we are in danger, he is mighty to save. Don't be afraid of lions. Have faith, be courageous, and God will be your strength.
Hey kids, it's time for our Rewind Review, where we get to go over the key parts of our lesson and make sure you were paying attention. We've got our two contestants. We've got sister versus sister, Pastor Elizabeth versus Miss Danielle. So make sure you're following along and answering along with your questions with your team. Okay, first question. Who was Daniel?
He was a prophet. You can find his book in the Old Testament.
Exactly. Yeah. Ooh. I wasn't really looking for that
But
part.
that is true.
That's
He
part
was.
of the story. This is
It's part of his story when he was younger.
But the point goes to Pastor
Yeah.
Elizabeth. All right, next one. What unfair law did Daniel's enemies convince King Darius to pass?
The law that no one could pray to anyone but King Darius for 30 days.
Exactly, she's right. A law that made praying to anyone other than the king illegal. Ooh.
Back then, they were not kind about things like that.
Yeah, dangerous law to pass.
Cutthroat.
All right, so now we're tied 1-1. Next question. What was the punishment for anyone that broke that law?
They would be thrown into the lion's den.
Oh, yeah, really intense.
Yeah, really,
No fun.
really
No,
intense.
no one wants to be that close to a lion.
No, and a bunch of lions.
Lions.
The ones that are hungry.
Yeah,
Ones that
and they were
too.
hungry.
Ooh, not looking good. So now we got 2-1. All right. What happened when Daniel was thrown into the lion's den?
The lion's mouths were sealed shut. Daniel was able to be in there without getting even a scratch on him.
Exactly. God protected Daniel from the lions. There we go. Exactly. 2-2. All right. What is our big idea for today?
has something to do with courage. Jesus gives me courage or something along those lines.
Super close, really close.
Okay.
I might give you the point if Danielle can't get it exactly.
Oh, I don't think I can get it exactly.
I will have courage because Jesus.
I literally just gotta say that.
Sorry.
You know
it's
what?
fine.
We're gonna give Pastor Elizabeth the point.
Yeah,
now
you
she's
get
up
it.
by 1. But what it was is I will be courageous.
Oh,
You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay, yeah.
All right, so now it's our last question. So either Pastor Elizabeth takes over with the lead or we can end with a tie.
Okay.
What is our power verse for this series?
Do you have to say the full power verse?
Yes.
Or am I just saying it's from Isaiah 6:8?
So
Does she get bonus? She gets to beat me.
yeah,
if
you can say it.
Oh.
So right now you got a point for it for,
Okay.
for knowing where it's found.
Okay.
You can say the whole
Oh,
verse.
boogers. I gotta get the first.
I think we can give her the first word.
Yeah.
I mean, because she
Yeah.
didn't know
What's
it.
the first word?
Then.
Oh, then I heard the Lord say.
The voice of the Lord.
Oh yeah, no, is it the voice of the Lord?
It is the
yeah.
voice of the Lord.
Okay, so then I heard the voice of the Lord say, who shall I ascend? And where shall I go? And then, and I said, it's me, send me! Please, send me!
Send me.
Here I am!
Here I am.
Send me!
So since we need a little bit of help to get along the way, I'm gonna say that we ended
Yeah,
this one
we'll
in a
do the
tie.
tie, because I get help with that one.
Good job, guys. I
Tie.
hope you guys are following along, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
What a great lesson on learning on how to be courageous and standing strong and standing firm on what we believe. And I hope that you were inspired by today's lesson. And if you want, you can always go back, rewatch it, tell a friend about it. And we just love what we do here, and I hope that you had a good time, and we'll see you guys next time when we do this again. See ya.